Do you, like myself, have grand visions of a beautifully tidy home, but don't know where to start? Well, I have 10 one-minute habits that you can implement today in order to work towards that vision. Hey everyone, my name is Lorraine and I am a wife, a mother of 4 with a 5th on the way, and I am excited to be here with you on your homemaking journey. I have been a full-time homemaker for 7 years, and like you, I am seeking to live out every day in a way that honors and glorifies my Lord and Savior, Jesus Christ. Let's learn together to love our husbands, to love our children, to love our homes, and to embrace every season that the Lord sends our way. Our motto is excellence over perfection, and I definitely want you to keep this in mind as we go over these 10 habits. If you would like, please like, comment, and subscribe to my channel so that we can encourage others on this homemaking journey. I'm sure we all have those passages of scripture that really encourage us as we go throughout our day, throughout our weeks, throughout our months. One passage that I love going to is Proverbs 31, especially as a homemaker, wife, mother. She is such an example of what I want to be in my own life. And one of the verses that is constantly running through my head is Proverbs 31:27. And that verse says, "She looks well to the ways of her household and does not eat the bread of idleness." And I think a huge part of looking well to the ways of our household is by keeping a clean and tidy and peaceful home. Now, it's not always going to be this way. Trust me, I know it is not always going to be this way. I have been pretty sick for the last 9 weeks, I want to say, with this pregnancy that I'm currently going through. And my house is just not the way it normally is. My husband has done such an amazing job of stepping up and taking care of the things that I cannot. But he can only do so much. He works full time outside the home, and he gets home, helps with dinner, helps with bath time, and then he tries to do as many chores that I didn't get to when I did feel good. But that means that things get left behind. And that's okay for a season. We have to understand that there are seasons and there are different habits that we can implement for each season that meet the needs of that current season. So like myself, you may be in a season where you can't do a huge revamp of a system. You can't do a huge remodel or a huge decluttering project. Instead, you have to do these small daily things that help your home feel like a home while you're in this season of physical inability, in my case. And so if you're in a season like that, I want to encourage you that it's okay. You can still honor the Lord as you go through this season, even if your house isn't Instagram worthy. So as we go through these habits, I just want you to be okay with and embrace the fact that you will try new things. You're going to fail at things. And then you will find things that work for you. Like, it's all a process. It's continually changing. And as you implement these habits, you may find different habits that work just as well or complement the habits that we're going to be talking about today. Tip number 1 is your dining room table is not a dumping ground. I have been in so many homes where there's a nice, beautiful dining room table and it's covered in bills, receipts, files, homework that isn't being worked on. It's just laying there. Magazines, whatever, usually paper clutter, whatever paper clutter doesn't have a home or has a home but it hasn't been put away, it finds itself resting on the dining room table. Growing up, my mother was so good at feeding us dinner as a family at the table almost every single night. There were, of course, exceptions to this, but that's what they were. They were exceptions. And I think part of the reason that happened so often, besides her just being dedicated to it, is the dining room table was never a place for clutter. Absolutely. We used it for projects. I have vivid memories of my father, who was a teacher, coming home and spreading all his work out on the table and grading papers, and their papers and red ink, red pens over here and calculators. Like, it was all over the table, but it never stayed. Things were always cleaned up at the end of the night or before dinner or whenever. It was when the project was done, the table was cleared. If you see something lying on the table and it does not belong there, put it away immediately. Don't let things pile up, because clutter attracts clutter, right? So you have one magazine on the table. Next thing you know, there's a piece of mail there or a receipt. Clear it as soon as you can. Not only does it keep your home feeling tidy and peaceful when the dining room table is cleared and wiped down and maybe has a nice centerpiece on it, but it encourages people to enjoy food at it. If you make a sandwich for lunch and you go to sit down at the table, but it's covered in clutter, before you can enjoy your sandwich, you have to find a place to eat. I myself usually wait until the last minute to eat. And when I'm ready to eat, I'm ready to eat. Like, I don't want to have to clear the table off in order to enjoy the food I just prepared. And I'm sure your husband doesn't want to feel that way. Your children don't want to feel that way. Your guests certainly don't want to feel that way. So make your dining room table a place of peace, a place of nourishment by keeping it clear of any clutter. Tip number 2 goes hand in hand with the first tip I just gave you. And that tip is to keep all of your mail and receipts in one spot and dedicate one day a week to going through those. Now, I know lots of people advise going through mail as soon as you receive it. That just doesn't work for me most of the time. Sure, I may throw away a magazine or something I know immediately that I don't want sitting in my pile of mail. But with little kids running around, I just don't always have the brain power or the time to dedicate to going through the mail when it comes. And so I have what I call my home administration day. And that's when I go through all the mail that we've received throughout the week. And I really enjoy it because I get to sit down at my desk. I've got my children occupied with something, or they're sitting there with me, depending on the day, depending on what they're up to. And I have my pens there. I have stamps if I need stamps. I have my envelope opener. I know, if that's weird, I'm sorry, but I love using an envelope opener. I don't like ripping mail open. So anyways, I have my letter opener. I have all my file drawers where if I need to file something away, I can file it away. It all just becomes this very cohesive task. And this was actually a piece of advice given to me by a longtime friend, is if you're able to dedicate very concentrated amounts of time to a task, especially with kids running around, you tend to get the task done faster and more effectively. So that's how I go about managing my mail. Keep it all in one spot, not on the dining room table, all in one spot until I can get to it on my designated day. Tip number 3 is if you live in a multi-story, multi-level home, keep an attractive bin or basket near your stairwell to collect items that need to go to a different level. I have fallen into this before where I just throw stuff on my stairwell, hoping that I'll see it and remember to collect it as I head upstairs or downstairs. And a lot of times it just becomes this noise in the background and I ignore it. And so when I'm headed upstairs, headed downstairs, I don't see it because it's just noise. But if you have a nice bin or basket that you can put items in that need to go downstairs or upstairs, and I like to put it right where I'm going to have to walk over it. So right where I know I tend to travel up the stairs, or right in my bedroom doorway, so that it's in my way and I have to physically either move around it or pick it up. And again, I know that a lot of people recommend to put things away immediately in their spot. And I think if you can do that, you absolutely should. But again, I have 4 small children running around, and I don't always feel like I can run upstairs or run downstairs and leave them unattended all the time. It makes a lot more sense for me to put a piece of clothing, or I also have files up there for paperwork. If I put paperwork in a bin, take that all up at once at the end of the day or during nap time or something, and I can file the papers away, I can put the clothes away, I can put, I don't know, toiletries away that showed up at the front door because an Amazon order came in. If I do it all at once, again, a concentrated amount of time to dedicate to one task to make my time more effective has been a lot more useful than running up and down the stairs to put things away. So tip number 4 is very similar to tip number 3. Yes, tip number 3. We have I shouldn't say a lot. We have 2 horizontal surfaces in this home that collect clutter in such an extraordinary way. It's almost mind-boggling. I can clear out these areas, and within, it seems like half a day, they're covered again. So what I like to do is, this is tip number 4, place an attractive bin or basket on these surfaces to collect the clutter. Again, not ideal, because everything should have a home, right? In a actually decluttered and organized home, everything has a spot and everything is in its spot. But again, sometimes that's not reality. And so we have to find ways to work within our realities, within our homes, within our families that make sense. And so for us, I don't know how, but my children are always finding the weirdest bits and bobs. I don't know what they go to, but I don't want to throw it away, because what if it's actually important and I just don't know what it goes to? Like a small screw or a plastic piece that looks important, but I have no idea what it goes to. So I stick those things in this little basket I have on our kitchen bar. And it's kind of almost a replacement for a junk drawer. I don't have a drawer that I can sacrifice to be a junk drawer in my kitchen. And so this basket has kind of become that. And the goal is to fill the basket. It doesn't have to go up, you don't have to fill it completely, but put things in the basket. And when I have a moment of dedicated time, again, concentrated, dedicated time to putting those items away, I can do it. And it seems a lot easier. Clutter is immediately visually put away, and your home feels automatically brighter, cheerier, more peaceful if that clutter is just all contained in a place that you can't see. If I also suddenly know that someone's coming over and there's clutter on that counter, I just throw things in the basket that I can and call it what it is. Tip number 5 is one I've been implementing for quite a while, and it has made such a difference. And this tip is, if you open a drawer or a cupboard and it's messy, things are falling on top of you, or things are all jiggling around in the drawer and they shouldn't be, to immediately organize it. Just that one drawer, just that one cupboard. It's not a huge decluttering job. Just try and tidy and organize it quickly. For me, this is our silverware drawers. I'm not sure why. Actually, I know why. We have a lot of silverware in small drawers. But I also have a lot of help from my children, from other people who come over. And so I'll open the silverware drawer and I like to separate the small forks from the big forks. They have to stay in the same slot, because I only have so many slots in my drawer. But I like to put big forks facing one way, little forks facing another. And I just kind of pile them all together. I don't like that. Or there'll be a fork in the knife slot, or a knife in the spoon slot. Things are all jumbled up. And they shouldn't be. So as soon as I open that drawer, I almost always know that I'm going to have to rearrange it. And it takes 20 seconds, definitely less than a minute, 20, 30 seconds to just quickly rearrange everything. And immediately there's a sense of peace, a sense of organization when you open that drawer again. If there's a drawer like that in your house, the more often you do this, the easier it becomes to maintain the organization. So the first time around, it may actually take more than a minute. It may take 5 minutes. But once you do that 1 5-minute organization, organize it every time you open that drawer, and it's going to be less than a minute. I guarantee it. Your future self will thank you. Tip number 6 is to wipe down all your surfaces after every single meal. This means your countertops, your sink, your stovetop, your tabletop. Dried food is such a pain to try to clean up. It is so much easier to clean it up when it is fresh and goopy. It hasn't dried on your table. In this clip I'm going to show you, the food I'm cleaning off this counter had actually dried on because we had gotten distracted that morning. And so this is oatmeal and berries that have dried on the counter. And as I was wiping it, I'm like, should have followed my tip. Should have stuck with my routine of always wiping down the counters immediately after every meal. Obviously, such as in this clip, that doesn't always happen. But the more often you do it, the more often you can also get to other places in your kitchen that need to be wiped down. For example, your backsplash. I think that's an area that's often overlooked. But once you wipe down a counter, that's pretty clean because you wipe it down as you go, or you've already wiped it down before you started cleaning, so most of the mess is already taken care of. You will notice the splatters, the grease on other areas of your kitchen, and you'll have that time to wipe down those areas too. So again, this habit is going to build to create more habits that are also less than a minute. So instead of scrubbing my stovetop for 10 minutes, it takes 2 minutes to wipe it down, 1 minute to wipe it down. Eventually I realized the backsplash behind the stovetop is messy. So take 30 seconds to wipe down the stovetop, and then 30 seconds to a minute to wipe down the backsplash. It all builds. The more you maintain these habits, the more habits you get to implement, and the bigger systems you will create in your home. Something that I do, I'm not sure if other people do it, which I guess is why I'm sharing it with you, is sinks really gross me out. I don't know why that is. I just feel like every single sink in my house is so gross. Not because it's dirty. I just don't want to touch it. I'm kind of a germaphobe, and sinks are a place I just don't want to touch. They're just, ugh, not okay. And so after every single meal, at least when I'm feeling well, has not been this way since I've been sick, I wipe down my sinks with soap and water after every single meal. I like a nice clean sink so that if my child does drop something in the sink, a toy or a piece of food that they're trying to wash, I'm not going to freak out that the sink is just absolutely disgusting because I cleaned it with soap and water before I finished cleaning the kitchen. I also wash my gloves. I wear gloves every single time I do dishes because my hands just dry out so fast. And with 4 small kids, you're always washing your hands. And so my hands will crack and bleed. And so to try to mitigate that, I wear gloves all the time while I'm cleaning the kitchen. And something else I do is wash my gloves after I have finished the dishwashing. So I just wash them like they're my hands, soap and water, scrub them nice and good, and then hang them up to dry. Just a random habit I do. Maybe it's helpful for you. It makes me feel like my gloves last longer and stay nicer when I do that. So having a cleaned kitchen counter, a clean sink, a clean table, a clean stovetop makes your kitchen poised and ready for that next meal. Tip number 7 is to use downtime to tidy. This has also been a game changer for me, especially when it comes to the kitchen. I know I'm talking about the kitchen a lot, but as a homemaker and as someone who doesn't eat out hardly ever, we probably eaten out more in the last 9 weeks because I've been feeling so awful than we have since the last time I was pregnant, which I guess was only like 2.5 years ago. But I digress. As homemakers, we spend a lot of time in our kitchen because the people need to be fed 3 times a day. That's a lot of time in the kitchen. And when you have downtime in the kitchen, the more you utilize that time to keep your kitchen clean and tidy, the more at peace your home is going to be, the more decluttered and clean your home is going to be. For example, if you're waiting for that pot of water to boil, clean up whatever you've used at that point. Put it away in the dishwasher. Wipe down your microwave. Wipe down a sink. Wipe down a counter. Wipe down your trash can. Clean out the fridge. Do something in that same area so you're not walking away from whatever it is you're waiting for. You're staying in that same spot so you don't get distracted too much from your task at hand. But you're utilizing downtime to create a more peaceful home. Don't pick up your phone. I have been there. I am still there some days. Don't pick up your phone and scroll mindlessly when instead you could be making your home a better place. And trust me, I get it. There are times when that's just the way it is, and that's fine. But don't make it a habit. Make that the exception. Another thing that I think is helpful is for us, our children are old enough that we don't have to bathe them, like we don't have to hold them the entire time they're bathing. They can splash around and have fun for a minute after they have actually been washed. But you don't want to really leave them alone yet because I still worry about them bumping their heads and that sort of thing. Anyway, so while you're letting them play in the bathtub, use that time to wipe down the surface in the bathroom. Even if it's just one. The mirror, the faucet, if you want to scrub your toilet real quick, do that. Pick up dirty clothes off the floor, hang up wet towels. Do something while you're waiting for your children to be done with their bath. If you're sitting at your computer and you're waiting for something to download or upload, use that time to organize a desk drawer, or to go through your mail, or to write a letter, or whatever sort of administrative task goes along with sitting at your desk. Do that while you're waiting for your computer to do whatever it needs to do. I also want to encourage you that if you do have downtime, say at your desk, read a book. Like, you have full permission to do something that's enjoyable in the downtime. And I say this because, again, I tend, I'm saying this because I'm talking to myself as I'm talking to you. We tend to just jump on our phones when we have downtime. And again, sometimes that's okay. But give yourself permission to use that downtime to do something you enjoy that maybe you can't do while you're playing with the kids or making dinner. Read that book you've been putting off. Spend some time in prayer. Write a letter to a friend. Do something enjoyable. If you knit, pick up your knitting project. It doesn't just have to be productivity in terms of the way we hear productivity. Doing enjoyable things like that is still productive, just in a different way. And allowing you those small pockets of pleasure throughout the day, I think give you that momentum to keep going. Yes, it's lunchtime. I'm going to sit down. I'm going to read my book. Or even if you want to watch a show, I like to give myself what I call my own lunch break. So the kids have eaten. Usually my twins are down for a nap and the boys, my older kids, are playing outside or something. I know where they all are. I can hear them. They're not being unattended to. I'm not ignoring them. But I will set aside just a little bit of time for myself to just be quiet, to kind of wind down, especially being pregnant right now. It's really good for me to just kind of unburden and relax. Give yourself those moments of time in the downtime. So whether you are using your downtime for pleasure or productivity, don't use it for mindless scrolling. Again, guilty. I've been guilty of this. But I just want you to feel that permission to use your downtime this way. Tip number 8 has been very useful in my own life because this area of my home is my nemesis. And tip number 8 is clean the shower as you're showering. I don't know what it is about the shower, but I have such a hard time cleaning it. I don't want to step in the shower while I'm cleaning it. And so it's really hard and physically taxing to try and reach all the nooks and crannies and to make sure I actually clean the shower just by standing outside of the shower. It obviously makes sense to get in the shower. I also tend to get, water all over my clothes and in my hair, and it's just a mess. It's a mess. So I finally decided to get, I don't know what they're called, but it's a dishwashing tool. And so there's a sponge on one end, and the handle of the sponge you can fill with soap, and you can scrub your dishes that way. I use that in the shower, and I fill it with either like a shower cleaning solution, or I like to do a mixture of vinegar and soap. So when I get in the shower, usually on a day where I know I'm washing my hair, because that way I can clean my hair of anything that got, splashed in it while I'm cleaning. I clean the whole shower and then clean myself, and I feel much better about my shower. I feel much better about myself as I go throughout the day, that I'm not covered in shower gunk, that I am clean, my shower's clean. And if you start to implement this and your shower's a mess, because right now my shower hasn't been touched for a while. Again, I have not been feeling well. I don't even like showering right now. It makes me nauseous. I don't know why. But just take one area of your shower and scrub it. Maybe it's one wall. Maybe it's your shower head. Maybe it's the glass door. Maybe it's the spot where you keep your shampoo and your soap. Clean just one area every day for a week. You will have touched the entire shower by the end of that week. And then, as you continue to do this, your shower will be easier and easier to clean. Eventually, you'll be able to clean the entire shower in maybe a minute. usually less than 5, but maybe not minute. But again, 1-minute habits are going to build into a system or into better habits or into more habits. They're going to make your home that much more clean and that much more tidy. Okay, we are almost there. We are on tip number 9. If you've made it this far in this video, thank you so much for hanging with me. I'm glad to have you here. I hope you have found this enjoyable. Tip number 9 is to keep cleaning supplies for your bathroom in each bathroom. Again, not just the shower, I suppose bathrooms themselves are the hardest areas of my home to maintain. And we currently live in a home with, it's terrible. I have to count bathrooms because I can't get them in my head. So 3 full bathrooms and a half bathroom. And I don't say that because I'm bragging or anything. It's a lot of bathrooms for me, especially when I have a hard time maintaining 1. So maintaining 3.5 is a lot for me. But I'm so thankful to have 3.5 bathrooms. I wouldn't have it any other way. So something that I have found to be very helpful, especially because I have a bathroom on each floor, and then we have what we call the guest wing. It's kind of like a mother-in-law unit way across the other side of the house. And so that bathroom I hardly see unless I know someone's coming to visit. Then I'll go over there and take a look and make sure it's okay. Otherwise, it remains pretty untouched. But to have that many bathrooms, 1 on each floor, we have our main floor, our master bedroom floor, and then our basement, which is where our boys are. And so they use that bathroom constantly. So all of our other bathrooms are touched all the time. In order to keep them sanitary and clean, the best thing I have found is to keep your cleaning supplies in that bathroom. Obviously, with little kids, you don't want to do this if your kids are going to get into the chemicals. So I do keep like the toilet bowl cleaners up high in the laundry room so they can't reach those. And so for us, I don't have like a full caddy of bathroom supplies in every bathroom. What I do have are little containers of Clorox wipes in every bathroom. And for me, just wiping down the bathroom counters with a Clorox wipe when I'm in there, or when I realize that the sinks are really gross or something, gives me that peace of mind that I have cleaned a surface for my children, for my husband, for myself, for any guests that walk in. It isn't to the same caliber as if I were to do a deep clean, but at least the gunk is taken away. It's now sanitized as long as you follow the instructions for how to sanitize those surfaces. And then it smells nice too. Those Clorox wipes are amazing. If you don't want to use them, that's totally fine, up to you. But so what I do is I keep those Clorox wipes in my bathrooms, and I can wipe down surfaces really quickly if I need to, just to make them not so gross. And then eventually when I have time or I'm feeling better, I can do a nice deep clean. But again, we are talking about quick 1-minute habits to help make your home feel nice and tidy. This way you don't have to go run to wherever you keep the Clorox wipes or whatever cleaner you want to use. It's right there. Pull it out of the cupboard, wipe it down, and we're good to go. Okay. Tip number 10 is a doozy. Just kidding. Tip number 10 is to keep your kitchen trash can area clean. I think this is one of the most often neglected areas of a kitchen. For us, we don't really have a place, a cupboard, where we get to hide away a trash can. It has to sit out. I personally recommend, I love trash cans with lids and a little foot opener. I don't know what it's called, but you don't have to use your hands to open the trash can. Again, germaphobe. I don't want to have to touch the lid of the trash can, either because I have dirty hands or I don't want clean hands to get dirty because I'm touching the trash can lid. I don't want my kids' hands to get dirty because they touch the trash can lid. It's a whole thing for me. But anyways, I also know that even though we have the little foot opener for the trash can, it still gets messy. And that's just the way it is, and that's okay. It's because we're living here. But again, this is a way I have habit stacked or built one habit on top of another. Is once I'm done wiping down my counters and I finish my counters off with a Clorox wipe, when I go to throw those away, I take, as long as the wipe is still wet, I will take that wipe and wipe down the top of my trash can lid and throw it away. and then the trash can looks so much better. And if I'm feeling ambitious, I will wipe down the sides of the trash can or the side wall next to the trash can because that can get grody too. But just keeping your trash can area clean and just wiping it down once a day quickly is going to make that area feel so much better and so much more tidy, so that people like myself who hate the trash can area aren't going to feel totally repulsed by it. And if you have small children, they're not going to go over there and get their hands in something that's really gross. Hopefully. They're children, so who knows. But that is my last and final tip for you. I hope these have been helpful for you. Even if you have heard of them before, maybe you haven't implemented them, this is my encouragement to you to implement them. Let me know in the comments what habits you suggest people pick up. I'm always looking for new ways to improve my home, to improve my habits and the way I keep house. So I would love to hear. Let me know in the comments. And again, I'm so happy you're here. God bless you until next time.